It's the only wrestling podcast on earth with one two-time X Division champion, the man behind the man at Impact Wrestling, my best friend and yours. He's Petey Williams.
How's she going, eh?
Doing good. From one legend to another, a man who revolutionized punk music, who has been rocking every amphitheater all over the world since the 90s. That's Lars Frederiksen.
Good morning, everyone.
Guys, we have a Hall of Famer on. We have a legend, a living legend, a guy we all grew up watching, someone that we've talked about many times on this podcast. And right now, the 12-year-old me is geeking out. He's waiting outside with a little pad and paper and a pencil and a pen waiting for an autograph. We're about to talk to Ricky Morton himself. Ricky Morton, welcome to the pod.
Hey, Dennis, Lars, and Petey, thank y'all for having me on your show. I really like that intro because a living legend. You really make my ass sound old, but that's okay. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Oddly enough, you're still younger than Lars, so this works out great.
That's fucked up.
All right.
So I'm going to start out, guys, with the questioning, and we talk to a lot of younger wrestlers on this podcast, and I think the other we've talked to Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett way back in the day. Jeff was actually our first guest, but we've never really asked any of them because you've been around longer, and this question would make more sense to you. Is you've seen the business change from almost the 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s, now the 2010s, and to the 2020s. When you look back at each era and decade, where would you rank what we're watching right now in wrestling as far as your favorite along those lines, television product wise?
Well, man, as the business change, you got to change with it. And it's hard, but to say, and what I'm trying to understand is your question is when was my best time for professional wrestling?
Your best time, favorite time as a fan.
My favorite time was in the 80s, but nowadays the guys saying their favorite time will be right now. But our business has changed so much, and the fault of it is not the guys in the wrestling business. You have to change with them. But the most important thing about our business is the guys these days don't understand it. It's not about getting your shit in. It's not about doing this. They do not understand the concept of our business. And that's to me. So I think within the last 20 years, they just lost the storytelling. They lost, you can't tell a story of an angle. You can't do an angle in two matches, and you can't get it all in today. So that's I like the era that I was in because at that time we didn't have contracts. I never had a wrestling contract. I never did. You didn't have contracts. So the boys depended on each other. And that's the era that I like the most.
All right, Ricky. Well, so, but you've adapted really well because I watched you just recently on AEW, and you were wrestling against Santana and Ortiz, an awesome destroyer, by the way. But whose idea was that? Was that, I'm assuming it was Santana's idea. That has his name written all over it. Or were you like, hey man, I got this cool move that I want to do?
You know what, dude? I don't call stuff in the back. And I still don't. I do not call stuff in the back. And the biggest thing with Santana Ortiz is that the match we had with him, that was at one of Joey Janela. I mean, no, it wasn't. It was at one of the WrestleMania shows in New York. It's 2:00 in the morning when we went on. And I told him, because you know what, dude, I didn't keep up with TNA too much. I knew who these guys were, LAX. But I really didn't know much about their work until I got in the ring. See, when I get in the ring with the guy, when I lock up with you, I can tell if we're going to have a good match or if I'm just going to sit down because I'm afraid you're going to hurt me. And I'm serious. But we're in the match, and what I was saying, the only argument we got into was well, who's going to go over, because I wanted to put them over. They wanted to put me over, but I won because I put them over. They were, it's not about me, man. It's just about telling the story and how the matches goes. But I'm in there, and he's got me. He goes, man, we're going to do a spot. He's talking to me for a few because I'm selling and I'm moving. He said, come off Ortiz's back and sunset flip me and hold on. Now, if you watch the show back, I'm back in the corner, and I do it over here. Then here I come flying off his back, and I hit him with the sunset flip, and the crowd erupted. Well, boom. Then if you get a chance to watch it back, I'm standing up and I'm doing my hands like this. What the fuck did we just do? I'm serious. He done it all. And God, what a pleasure it was working with these two guys, to see watch these guys progress, especially in AEW, but to really know what kind of people they are. And see, that's what I look at somebody about, is what kind of person that you are and where your heart's at. I love them guys, man. They are absolutely phenomenal. And that was how I did the Morton Destroyer, Petey.
Good name for it. I like it.
Just go ahead, guys.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on because one of these things, like everybody on this podcast and most people in the world know that the Rock and Roll Express, I'm a tag team guy. That was my favorite tag team. And then getting to know you over, this little period of time, I guess for me, one of the things in my business is that artistic freedom. And it sounds like when you're talking about like your favorite era being the 80s, and there was no contracts, there was none of this stuff. And right now, I think we're seeing in these companies a lot more licenses given to the actual wrestler. And back in the 80s, do you feel like you were given a lot of creative freedom back then? And do you think that helped you become more successful?
Well, when we really got our really, really big break is when we left Louisiana, where we worked for a guy by the name of Cowboy Bill Watts. Mm-hmm. That we went to NWA. Now, when we got there, we had Dusty Rhodes. And Petey will understand this, Lars, which I hope you do. It's when you have a booker in your territory, it's things that he has in his mind that he likes, what he wants to do in this angle. But there's a lot of guys that don't understand that. And that's one thing that Dusty looked at me about, because he would set me down and explain to me what he wanted. Mm. And it's not about the freedom. Our matches, we never seen each other. A lot of people can say, and at that time, it's when Dave Meltzer was coming out, and he was giving the finishes on the internet before we even done them. That's because people were talking behind the scenes. But our freedom came, it's in our matches to tell that story. And not only me, I had some of the best people that you could ever imagine to work with at that time. The Midnight Express, the Russians, and I love the Russians part, because at that time in Portland, U.S., Dusty was real smart on stuff like that. What's going on in the media, us and the Russians and stuff. We're the all-American young baby faces that hit the scene at this time. So the freedom came in our matches because we was able to tell the stories that we wanted. But other words, Dusty trusted me into doing that. Because a lot of guys, you shoot angles, and if they don't really understand what the angle's all about, that's why it don't get over. That's why they get mad at the bookers and stuff like that. But I was at a certain time to meet some of the most brilliant people, not only Dusty, but a bunch of them that understood our business so good. Just the money wise, it was a shit. I made a lot of promoters rich. I can tell you that. But you know what, Petey? That was my own fault, and we talk about this later on too. Because it's my own fault because I wasn't educated enough to know. And I'm serious. I can't blame him. I can't blame Bill Watts. I can't blame them. Only person I have to blame is myself. And that's the reason I don't know if you see my son that's working in the business, Kerry, really good, but he got a 4-year scholarship to college. And I mean, we're on the independent circuit. We're doing our stuff. We're going here and there. I had a couple people call about him, but now he's going to get that education before we do anything. All right.
I'm sure we'll definitely get to Kerry here in a few because
Yes.
congratulations on both you guys winning tag team championships in Tennessee. And that's something I want to touch on here in a few. But my question to you now is, I look back at your career and I haven't seen the pass the torch moment where maybe you have passed the torch to someone else. You're still going. Have you thought of, is there a moment? Have you already passed the torch? I'm trying to work the question out in my head as I ask it because I'm really interested when guys pass the torch, who they choose, why they choose it, and you're still going strong. If you've already passed it and you're going now, can you pass it again? I don't know what the torch passing rules are anymore at this point.
All right, I got you now. Similar to the question that I just answered, I didn't have contracts. I still got bills that come in every week. That's the reason I still wrestle, tell you the truth. But guys, I want to tell you, and I'm serious with you, I make more money now than I ever made in my life. And I'm serious. That's off the, all these personal periods, the Comic Cons we do, and Robert and I, we're still active. We do things. Yes. I mean, I love this wrestling business, and it's in, and I love still performing. I love still doing it, and I love to helping people too. But I still depend on this business for a living. And then again, if I sit down, I'm afraid I won't get back up. I mean, I have been in this business 46 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, running like a chicken with my head cut off. Lars, that's a country saying. But I'm sorry. But that's just, I still enjoy it. I'm still out there. I don't know, to tell you the truth, guys. I'm 64. I'll be 65 this year. And I don't know that I'm that old until I look at a picture of myself.
So, Ricky, you've been in the business for a hell of a lot longer than I have. I've only been in it for 20 years. That's that's long when you say it, but not compared to you. But so obviously, earlier in your career, you did a lot of hustling, trying to get your bookings and all that kind of stuff. And you just said that you're making more money now than you've ever made in your business. And in your earlier years. So what I want to know is, has it gotten to the point where like the companies like AEW, the Impacts, all them, like the Comic Cons, are they calling you now to book you? Or is it like, are you reaching out to those companies like AEW and stuff and saying, hey, you guys want to do business together? At what point are you at right now in your career?
Petey, to answer that question for you, and it stopped to be me when I answer this. I don't reach out to nobody. Okay. I dedicated my life to this business, and I know a hell of a lot about this business. I'm just waiting for somebody to give me that one opportunity, and I'm going to blow everybody's damn mind. This is what I do. If I reach out to somebody, then I'm begging for a job. And in my position, I don't think I need to beg for a job. I don't need to ask nobody for a job. And don't think that I'm being a smart ass. I'm just telling you the truth, Petey. Mm-hmm. Our business changed and I changed with it. I watch our shows today, and there's 100,000 different things I could do to help every company that's out there. Even because what I'm trying to tell you earlier is understanding our business. It's not what you do. Sometimes it's what you don't do. Just the little things in our business that some of these guys that I watch that work on top still don't know. It's the little things. And I'll tell you, when I worked on top in the 80s, and I did it throughout a long time because I didn't go to the big territories. The boys depended on you to make a living. Mm-hmm. So they depended on me to sell this house out. And I'm telling you, we did. When Robert and I, we first hit the scenes, in the 80s. I mean, see, in our day, popping a territory was what was a big deal. And I swear, everyone we went to, we broke 10-inch records. I mean, I'm even talking about Louisiana breaking every Elvis Presley attended record he ever had. People camping out, getting tickets to watch Robert and I perform that night. But it's not that, but please don't think that I have the answers to everything. I don't. But I can understand, I can help a lot of people in this business, especially on the babyface side, to become a better babyface. Because nowadays, one thing that I do see, Petey, you don't know who the baby faces and heels are.
Yeah.
You don't know who they are. Nobody, and the greatest thing in the world that everybody is missing is the art of selling. Excuse me. Art of selling without dying, without burying your partner over in the corner, without putting the heat on the referee. This is things that they don't understand, they don't do. Thank you for asking me that question. You got me on a roll there, buddy. It got me hot.
All right, awesome.
Come back. Okay. Thank you, man.
Well, one of the things that's happening in wrestling now is you have all this like cross promoting. You've got AEW and Impact working together with New Japan, and Ring of Honor is working with other companies and things like that. And I know back in the 80s and 70s before, really the conglomerate, there was a lot of like, obviously there was territory, so there was a lot of trading of talent, or
Yes,
you would wear out your time, in one place, so you'd go to a new place, and then you're a fresh face and all these things. What we're seeing, as wrestling fans is like that the fourth wall being knocked down, because now you're having two companies that are on TV working together. We can see it. What do you think about that? Do you think is that something that like that you ever expected to see on this scale, or is this something that you're seeing maybe this could be better for the business, or do you have any opinions basically on what we're seeing right now?
No, yes, I have a lot of opinions. But first of all, I wish that 10 more companies will open up, because that's more work for all the boys. When you only have, 4 or 5 major companies, there's a lot of wrestlers out there. So a lot of the boys get stuck in the shuffle. It's like scrambled eggs. They don't know which way to go here and go there, and go here. But as saying, when you grew up, I wasn't one of these kind of guy that works opposition, that did that. But you all got to make a living in this business. I kind of like the facts that some of the, companies do work together, is because it gives everybody more exposure. To me, I look for the stars of the future, because right now every star has been made in the company, and when it gets to a point, there's only so much that you could do with this person in this company. So this company over here might say, well, this is what I want him for. So the crossovers in the companies, I like that. And the reason I like it for the boys, like you said. I'm just, right now, Lars, it's hard. You see too many things going on at one time. They're doing you have in one company, you have too many people that you got to push. In other words, there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians, to get this thing over. And that's when you got to have somebody to come in that knows what they're doing, that can sort this out, instead of you watch an hour show and they jam so much shit into it that you don't understand the match. And you don't understand the matches a lot too. I know I've jumped from another limb, but watch some of the matches these days. I want to tell you, and Petey, I want you to hear this too. And I tell the guys this all my life. they asked me, would you come out and watch my match? So I don't know how we got here on this subject, Lars, but I'm here. But it's like, I tell the guy, would you come out and watch my match? So I go out and watch it. And I asked him, I said, did you watch the match before you? See, I watch all the matches. I do. Because if I'm going to work with somebody, I already know what you're going to do when we get out there, and I can trust you because I don't like to call stuff in the back. But they go out there, and I said, did you watch the match before you? I know. I said, well, hell, you had the same match. You did the same shit. Okay. Now, this is one thing that I really do, and I push this a lot on the independent circuit. I tell the guys, I says, now, tonight, when they ask me, I said, when your match is over, go out in the crowd and find somebody that you don't know. I don't want you to ask your girlfriend or that Mark that's sitting over there that tells you that you're the greatest worker in the world, that would most of you, go find somebody you don't know. And I'm serious, and ask them, did they watch your match? And the answer they got to get is yeah, I watched it, but all they're going to remember is the finish. So if people would stop just working their match towards the finish and telling that story, everybody will make more money, because then you're going to get our people, instead of all these smart marks out there. Hell, I'm on social media. You got guys out there that think they know more than we do. Hell, this is what we do for a living. And I like that for a part, because when a lot of people, they act like they know everything, and Petey might get a lot of heat. A lot of guys in the office think they know everything. And a lot of them don't know shit. I don't know. Some of them got jobs I don't know how they got, but it's none of my business. I'm not knocking you, I'm not saying bad, but I know what our business likes. And you got to start about thinking about the future in these territories, is finding people to push that you think that are going to get your ratings up or get your attendance up, because everybody can't do that. And Lars, I hope I answered that question. I don't know. I mean, I'm like a squirrel, I'm telling you, because when I'm thinking, there's so much shit that happens in my life, dude, I would jump from limb to limb quick. So just bear with me. I promise you I will come back to that question. Thank you, guys. Thanks all.
Ricky, before I ask my question, I have to introduce the two-time MLB All-Star, once a greatest comeback player of the year award winner in my heart, the head coach himself, and we also now call him fashionably late. It's Dmitri Young.
Hey, Ricky Morton. I'm a big fan. Grew up watching NWA wrestling on WTBS in the 80s and watch you and Robert Gibson do your thing as the Rock and Roll Express. And it's an absolute honor and privilege to be on with you. I'm sorry for my tardiness. Duties of a high school head coach for baseball during baseball season. We won 1-0 against the first place team. Now we're one game behind with a game on Thursday. So I do have to talk to the principal and the AD and stuff like that. But I am absolutely glad to be here and want to hear some more of your stories.
Well, man, I go ahead and I completely understand you. I have 7 children, and I have 11 grandkids, and all of them played sports. I mean, dude, I know what you're talking about, all of them. But thank you. That's a great pleasure. Thank you a great compliment. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much. Hey, I love you as Rock and Roll Express. However, as Richard Morton with the York Foundation.
Yeah.
That'll be my one question. How did it feel going away from the Rock and Roll Express persona and going into a suit and tie persona for that brief time?
Well, Bud, I'm going to give you an answer here that's going to blow your mind. We were talking earlier, our business back in our days, our business is very sacred. And then we had people that were coming into business, especially WCW, that thought they knew all the answers and everything. But the reason I was very loyal to my partner, Robert Gibson. A lot of things happened in my career that I could have done that I didn't do because I started it with him when we were young, and I was going to end it with him. It's a couple of different times. A lot of people ask me, a lot of people think that when I did the angle with Ric Flair, it's when Robert got hurt, but it wasn't. I did the angle with Ric Flair when Magnum TA got hurt, and they were grooming him for the world champion, and they had nobody to step in. So they put me in there, which it was great. I had a great run with it. But now in WCW, Robert got hurt. Would y'all like to hear this story?
Yes, please.
I want to tell you a hell of a story here. We were at a town one night, and Robert come in, and I noticed him over. This is what's going to lead up to the York Foundation. Robert was sitting over, and he's real quiet. And I says, Robert, what's wrong? He goes, oh, I hurt my leg last night in the match. And a lot of the boys are in the room, so I didn't say nothing. I'm thinking to myself, walking back to sit down, I said, well, hell, you didn't do shit last night. How'd you hurt your leg? So I went back and I sat down. Then all the boys left. So I went back over to him. I said, Robert, what happened to you, man? He says, his first wife, she ran over him in the car and fucked his leg up, man. His leg, you ought to seen it, man. He pulled his pants down, black, green. We didn't have a contract. Everybody else did, but we didn't. So I told him, I said, Robert, get dressed. When they play our music, I'm going to shoot out that curtain. I'm going to go all these buildings, get the people hollering rock and roll. I said, you take your time. And when you get down to the ring, just get up on the apron any way you can. And I did that. Boy, I had these people going, and the people were watching me. They were basically paying until we get there. And I told him, I says, now I'm going to start this match off with Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, Teddy Long. I said, I get him going. I'll work. When I give you a tag, come through the ropes and fall. Okay, that was WCW. They're a big company. So we did that. Robert failed, but see, working for WCW, even though we didn't have a contract, look here, they sent Robert to the best doctor in the country, the University of Alabama. They reconstructed his whole leg.
Wow.
They paid him $2,000 a week. I wasn't even making that, dude. And I'm wrestling every night. They paid him $2,000. They paid $2,000 a week for a year. And then when he got there, I didn't have nobody. And I'm loyal to Robert. And this is what they come to me. But that then everybody's changed over. I mean, you had a guy in the office that was running the professional wrestling business that run a pizza joint that didn't have no clue what wrestling was, but he was a corporate guy. They wanted to put me and Brad Armstrong together, which I love Brad. I named one of my sons after Brad Armstrong to become the new Rock and Roll Express and give me a contract. Or I can join the York Foundation and just be on the back burner. And I chose the York Foundation. And I did. And as soon as Robert came back, that's when I was healed. If you guys remember at Capitol Combat in Washington, D.C., me and Robert had a single match. And next day, me and him headed off to Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Wow.
Didn't miss a lick. And that's a true story.
Thank you.
No, and that's the way that it became. That's the way I became. You know what? And me and Terry Taylor got over pretty good too. We got over to the point where they shut us down, because we did the back off heel stuff, and it got over pretty good. So thank you for asking me that, man.
Very welcome.
Whoa, I got sideways there, didn't I?
A few minutes ago, you were talking about heels and faces. And every time we talk to a younger wrestler, they always, I hate playing the face and all. If for some reason in wrestling, it's just not cool to be a face anymore. How would you approach these younger guys to try to change that culture of, hey, A, we need faces. B, it's not so bad.
Oh, you know what? And goes back to what I was saying earlier. They don't understand the business. I love breaking. When you ask me a question, I love breaking down stuff and telling stories.
Yeah,
because you really like this right here.
Yeah.
I was wrestling a guy not long ago, and he tells me, when I go to the ring, a lot of the people are going to cheer me. I went, they're only going to cheer you because you want them to, dumbass.
Yeah.
And Petey, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
It's a real, and then I'm going to set an example for you greatest workers in our business out there. And I'm telling you, to me, I don't give a shit. My opinion, and everybody, your opinion is like your ass. Everybody's got one. But to me, the greatest worker and the greatest world champion of all time was Ric Flair. To me, because I spent a lot of time with him in the ring, and I spent a lot of time watching him. And dude, let me tell you, you talking about getting an education in the wrestling business, wrestle him every night for an hour, and you will find out, especially them in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he's from. And then you go to Philadelphia, where they're absolutely 100% heel crowd, buddy. They're heels. Those people don't even like ice cream. They hate everybody, hate everything. And you go to the ring, and Rick's the world champion. So I'll go to, this is an example in Philadelphia. I go to the ring because I'm first. Rick's, look here. Dude, I'm called everything that you ever could imagine. Everything. Boom. So I get to the ring, and here comes Ric Flair. The people are going crazy. They're going crazy. Now, Petey and everybody here, listen to me. And I got in the ring, and I was going to tell you, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. You never got your finishes till you got in the ring. And you just who's going over, who not. And I think Tommy Young goes, you go an hour, Broadway. It's cool. So I get in the ring, and we're having our match. And these people, now, listen to me, 10 minutes in the match, Ric Flair has turned half of the people in the arena. All right. 15 minutes in the match, 3/4. 20 minutes in the match, the people have pushed the guardrails all the way up to the ring. I'm taking bumps, because I had to knock them off the aprons. Ricky hit me, and I push him, take a bump, push him off. And finally, Arn Anderson seen that, and he started, making his way to the ring because he knew they were fixing to come in, that son of a bitch. And then here come Robert down. And finally, Rick told me, he says, man, I'm going to throw you over the top rope, but hook on to it and go right up the turnbuckle. He said, that way, I understood what he meant with that. Him telling me before I get the people's attention. And he slid out the back of the ring and went down the hallway out the door because they were going to kill him.
Yeah.
They were going to kill him. And you see, that's what I'm talking about. We couldn't do the hour. See, that's what the guys that I would love to teach today. Even though when you watch a tag match and you have your baby faces that are trying to be baby faces, one of them, especially when they get the heat on, well, I don't understand what he's got a partner for, because he's going to do his own damn comeback before he tags his partner. Petey, you know what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you understand? So what is the need? See, me, I built, if I can make this guy on the front row, and when you're selling, it's really selling what he did to you. See, I can't sell, and I tell guys this all the time. I said, listen, I can sell one punch better than I can 37.
Mm-hmm.
I can sell one kick to the head better than I can 57. Because realistically, if you did that to me, I'm dead. I'm a dead son of a bitch landing in that ring. The guys don't understand that. So when I was selling, and if I could make the people really believe what I do, and it's like right now, I could do an hour of Broadway if I had somebody that can do it with me. And there's not many out there that can do that. And the reason why is because the heels don't know how to let the baby face sell. And the baby face don't know how to sell. Because, you ever notice, shoot a guy off and give him a gut shot, he'd do a forward flip. What the hell for?
Yeah.
In real life, if I gave you a punch in the gut, what are you going to do?
Crumble down.
And it's a little thing here. And take this for example. And I'm trying, like guys, they do their tackles. When you work a headlock and you shoot a guy off for a tackle. And most of them stand there like a statue, like a tree, like a fence post. I mean, if you just, what does a headlock really do? It cuts the circulation off to your head. If you just bend over and kind of grab your head like you woozy, then it gives the heel to give you a tackle. You don't look like a fucking idiot. They don't understand little things like that right there. So now, what I'm getting back to, if I can make the guy on the front row think, and then listen, the guy I'm working with, my nickname in the business is Punky, and they, Punky, you all right? You hurt? Well, I'm thinking to myself, what does that guy up on that balcony or on the TV's thinking? You see? And it's to know what you're doing, how it's doing. When I sewed, I never did my own comeback. You don't make a comeback and give a hot tag. It's better to you might do something to reverse something, but the heel will stop you have a double knockout and you both are down. And I'm watching, and when the heel tags his partner, it's when I roll and tag Robert, and both heels are in the ring for the comeback. You never see that no more. Hell, nowadays, I don't know what and another thing is putting the referee over. Nobody puts the referee over no more. I don't know when the last time I seen the NFL football official get clotheslined or throw them out. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And it's the part. So the guys these days, they all want to be heels because they think it makes them look big and it makes them look bad. But see, that's the ones that don't understand our business. You could be, look at me, man. I enjoyed being a baby face, but I could work heel just as good. But I know either way. If you're going to be a heel, be a heel. If you're going to be a baby face, be a baby face. But do it the right way. And I promise you, it's going to come back. It's going to have to come back to that. I mean, damn, go to the matches tomorrow night. What? They'll shoot Hugo out of a cannon, and that son of a bitch kick out on one. I'm not shitting you. So that's what's happened to our business. And you see that even like, and Nick Aldis, he's a NWA world champion, and it's good. He made one of the, on social media, I'm 64 years old, and some of them try to eat my lunch, but see, they don't understand what they're doing. And Nick Aldis had one of the best. Guy asked him, because I wrestled him on NWA for the world title. They're 63 years old at that time. And Lars, you'll love this. He asked him, how come you wrestle Ricky Morton, didn't wrestle one of the other guys? He said, if you was a musician, wouldn't you like to get on stage with Mick Jagger? You see what I'm saying? And I thought that was the greatest thing in the world, because even though he wrestling me, he learned something else new. And I'm serious in the match because I don't call stuff in the back. I do it all in the ring. And I mean, no, we didn't have a 5-star match, but we told the story that we needed to tell, and I got it back where he wanted it. And it was the greatest. I don't know how we got to here either, guys. Let me jump back over in this other tree. But that's the way it goes. The greatest answer in the world that Dick gave him. I'm sorry, I'm trying to adjust this shit. I'm falling, and my dog keeps hitting this thing over here. All right. Thank
Ricky,
you.
I got a follow up for that. So you mentioned the likes of like Terry Taylor and stuff. So I'll preface my question with this. When I first started with Impact, Terry was like, producer, agent, talent relations director and stuff.
Mhm.
He's mentioned your name so many times, like, oh, you got to sell like Ricky, like watch Ricky do this, like all this kind of stuff. So a lot of this stuff and knowledge that
Mhm.
you would show in the ring, like, you know, and Terry and stuff. It's getting passed along down. I don't know where the translation is lost. So I'm really surprised, like super surprised that, you know, you haven't became like a producer or an agent or in the office of, you know, a wrestling company. They can use like you're the ultimate babyface. I mean, they can use like your knowledge and stuff. So have you ever like thought of doing that for a company?
Let me tell you something, Petey. It's my dream job,
Okay.
but I'm not going to go begging. Yeah, good. See, even your dog agreed with that. You see, they hello. It is my dream job, but be me for once, and it's hard to walk up to somebody really that I don't even know because they're in charge of the business and ask them for a job. It's hard. Sometimes I know in life that you got to eat crow sometimes, but fuck it. I'm happy at what I do, and thank you very much. And then there's other companies that I don't got to say I can't walk on crackers. I'm not going to walk on crackers. I'm not. You know, I was at the performance center one time, and I'm training, and somebody asked me, "Well, Vince don't like it right way," and you know, there's cameras everywhere. I said, "What's the camera at?" I looked up at it, and I says, "I'm running this today." He's not. He's sitting in the office, so it's my way today. That's just the way it is, because they got away from it. And a lot of times, it's the boys that say it. Well, we don't need to do that to somebody, to the office. And the guys is telling that, and they done convince the people in the office not to do that. And you can't. You got too many people that with power struggles. I'm not. I'm one of the boys. I stood up for the boys all my life, and I still do. And it came to a situation because they don't understand it. If me saying something's going to cost you your job, I'm not going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because you got a family to feed too. And that's just the way that I am. So they got to understand that and it's hard, you know, and Petey, sometimes it's hard to be who I am when they ask me questions like that. And a lot of times I like, you know, especially when somebody asks me something that's going to relate to something, I act dumbfounded, like I don't know what they're talking about, but I do.
Yeah.
And I do. I have it. I know you're just going to ask me about this later on. If you get a chance, guys, every Sunday at 5:05 Eastern time, I have a live YouTube show that comes on School of Morton, my training school. Now, these are guys that are training at my school, and I do good. And the reason I do good is because I put heat on my heels, and always, you know, that's TV. I'll run shows outside of it, and we do great. Don't get me wrong. I don't draw 20,000 people. Other night, we had 550 people. It's good for something that nobody knows nothing about. And the way I do that is because it's the old-fashioned way. And I promise you, if you try to get some of you guys these days, if you're trying to do an angle that you want the people to believe, please call me. Because the way you're doing it now, they're not. You ever notice how the matches start off these days? Watch TV. They don't lock up. They run and hit the ropes. Throw that leg off and take off running. I'm going, damn, just lock up one time, boys, and keep your head back. I mean, just a little thing like that right there, man. So I hope I answered that question. I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's your dream job, man, to be in it, like, you know, to do that. It's your dream job.
Yes, it is. And I wished I had the opportunity of doing that. But Petey, I mean, look, I have a little dignity too. You know, I have a little pride in myself. I don't think that and I don't want a job out of pity either. You hear me? I won't. Yep. See, it's like going to a big company. Well, I don't want this guy's job. You know, this is what he does, and y'all can do. No, I want my own job.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is what I do, not what he does. And do you see that a lot of times happening?
Yeah.
I mean, it's yes, I don't want his job. I want my own job. And that's what I want in this business. And I'm looking forward to it. And like now when with my son, and I try to do it with everybody at my school. I try to make you understand what we're doing before you go out there and do it. Just understand. You ever notice your baby face is selling and you can't even see their face. They're got their head down to the mat. I mean, the last time I looked, I hadn't wrestled in a glass ring that's clear where you got fans up under it looking at you. You got to look at the fans. When you're in the ring, you're on stage. Somebody asked me the other day, says, how come you do this all the time in the ring? I said, try it one time. I said, because when you do it, everybody in the building will look at you. and you want them to. You see and everybody talks so fast and their matches are so fast. Go to a Broadway show. I mean, they're not running through their damn scenes going so fast that you don't understand. When you nowadays watching a damn wrestling match is like watching a damn ping pong match or something. Everybody's heads are just doing this or playing tennis. Here we go. Nobody's sitting down soaking what kind of story that the workers are not letting the people understand what they're doing in the ring. I mean, yeah, that's a great high spot. Oh, that was, it takes a great athlete to do just what you just did. But what the hell was it for? What the hell did you just do it for?
Yeah.
Why don't you try to put that into your match to make it mean something? That's my point. That's the problem that makes my ass want to dip red band. I'm not sure sometimes. Okay.
Well, I wanted to ask a question just about your lineage, because now your son is in the business. I believe you were trained by your father, correct?
Yeah. My son's third generation.
Right. So you're
Yes.
second generation wrestler, and it explains a lot. So one thing I guess I want to know is do you feel like because your dad was in the business, did you have an advantage going in? And now does your son have an advantage? What are and I guess maybe it's a two-part question. What are some of the things that maybe your dad passed down that you're now still passing down to your boy?
Yes. If I answer this question here, Lars, it's, me being a second generation, I grew up in the wrestling business. My dad, it was a hard road. Our business changed even from the 70s until that, it was hard. You didn't draw the people like you did. You had the small territories where you never got over to the top babyface. What my dad always told me, he said, son, I'm going to explain something to you right now that I'll be better off talking to that wall, that one day it's just going to hit you like that. It's going to knock you off your feet. And that happened. But with me and my son passing it on, I try to make this happen before it hits him later on. My boy had been going with me to the wrestling matches. As later on in life, you didn't have your territories. I didn't work for them. I worked on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So he was out of school. Even as a little kid, he'd go to the ring with me. He'd dress up like me, run around the ring and have good times. But then he met a lot of people working with them in the ring. Because, Petey nowadays independent. And I'm from the old school. I get there early. I have a job to do. I don't walk in with 15 minutes or 8 o'clock when the bell rings. I'm there earlier. But when I was there early, I worked with a lot of guys in the ring. And my son was one of them. So I know right now that in Laurel's, he's got an advantage, but it's not an advantage to help you because I promise you, it's a lot harder. And you can see that with I can tell you this, look at Cody Rhodes and WWE, because Dusty was there. I'm telling you, Cody had a long, hard road.
Yeah.
there. Even they let him go. You see what I'm saying? Because it's harder sometimes. But look what Cody became, though. I like that. But no, it's harder in the business because, especially the boys these days, because they don't understand the business again. Here I go back again. The only reason you're here is because of your dad, and that's true. But it's not like that. You got to put in that hard work, no matter who you are. That's the way I look at it. Because I was a boss man. I mean, if you didn't deserve your spot, you damn sure ain't gonna have it.
Now,
No matter who you are.
Dmitri, before you ask your question, let me say this. We've got time for one more question apiece, but I want you to have the next two questions. So you came in late. I want you to make sure you get two questions, and then we'll all ask our own, and we'll wrap it up.
All right. The first question that I was listening to you talk about ring psychology and how that all manufactures in a good match. So back in the 80s, when you were part of Rock and Roll Express, how much chemistry did you have because there was a bunch of tag teams in NWA back then, and they were all good matches. You had the Road Warriors, you had yourselves, you had the Russians, you had Dusty Rhodes, and anybody. And it was like you always put on great matches, and what just went on backstage, not backstage, but in the back when y'all put these things together, because it was always action packed, and especially when y'all go touring, it was like always 50,000, it seemed, especially in the Carolinas.
Thank you. Earlier, I don't know if you heard what I said. In our days, the business was sacred. Just about the only time that we got to see the heels was at TV. And that was because we had meetings. We had to get there earlier. In our time, all these great matches that you're seeing, and it's a college, it was all put together in the ring. Even the hour Broadways, our business was sacred. We never, half the time, didn't even get our finish until we got in the ring. And you didn't get, we're going to do this, you're going to do that, we're going to do this. It's who's going over and who's losing. Most of the time, without Tommy Young even speaking, I'll be in the ring and he just put his thumb up. That means I'm going up. Or if he points down, I know that we're putting the heels over. Because, leaving heat on the heels is what draws you money. Because the people pay to see me beat the heels, but they keep screwing me every week. And that's what draws money in our business. As being a world tag team champion, and I'm from the host, I don't like being a champion because the people pay to see me win the belt. They don't pay to see me lose it. And that's the way I look at situations like that. But to get to what the answer your question is those days, everybody that stepped in the ring were great workers. And that's even your underneath guys. They were all great workers. Our business was sacred. It took a lot more to get in our business than it did just going to a training school. I mean, you're out there, you're trying out for wrestling. You got Gene Anderson and Ole Anderson and them people. I've seen a lot of them. I mean, they just beat the living piss out of people, man. And it wasn't the part about that. It was the part about if you was willing to come back the next day. And that's how people broke into our business and the heart. It's not about, it was about the heart that you had, but then they taught you the right way. Greatest business in the world. I love this business so much. And it just breaks my heart sometimes because I'm on the independent circuit. And you see some people that's got about as much business being in the ring as me flying the space shuttle. I mean, it's fucking shit. Okay. All right. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, I have one more question, and then I'm going to leave it to the rest of the guys. The rock and roll persona that you have, obviously, it's been copied many a times. Who came up with it?
Oh, the Rock and Roll Express?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Hey, man, listen. Here's another story here. I was partners with a guy named Ken Lucas, and he was the greatest worker. I learned so much from him, buddy. He taught me about tag team wrestling. And Jerry Lawler was looking for a tag team because he was having trouble in Memphis, and the Fabulous Ones was there, and he's wanting him a tag team. So, but the time, because he's going opposition to Jarrett. I hope you understand what I meant by that. But when we got there, they didn't. And we're looking at it, and they was wanting to make, Ricky, Robert, R&R. They even had the Rolls Royce symbol there, and Jimmy Hart, which is an old rock and roller. I remember he told Jerry Lawler, he goes, "What about the Rock and Roll Express?" And we're live on TV fixing to come out. And he goes, "That's the worst name I ever heard, but right now it's all we got. We'll go with it." and I swear that was the way it is. But it's how it boiled down to. It was Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart together. And you guys, Petey, you know Jerry Lawler?
Yeah, Jerry, one of my first, before I made it in the business, one of my first indie shows when I was just working my way up. Yeah, Jerry was like the first big, he was still with WWE doing the commentary, but they were able to do indie shows.
Yes.
So he was like the first, I guess you could say, big name that I met in the business.
Did you ever work with him?
No, not in the ring, no.
Ungodly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. What a master. What a professor in our business. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ. And still is. He's in his 70s. I'm on a lot of shows with him, man. I learned a lot from him, too. So, but that was the way that got started, the Rock and Roll Express. And then from then on, it was me and Robert just clicked together. Robert was a tag team wrestler with his brother, Ricky. And then Ricky had a car wreck that messed him up real bad. So, and I try to tell the guys in the business, our business, you have to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And right place at the right time. And it's like I was trying to tell one of my guys I went to my school, which he got a break. And he says, "What did I do?" I says, "Well, two things that I don't like is when you get in the ring. And I don't like the word, huh? Did you hear me? I get in the ring with you gonna wrestle, and I said, tell you to snatch a hell out. You say, huh? No, but no, get out, tag out. And another one is when you come back and you mess up and you ask the guy and he says, I know. Well, if you know, what the fuck did you do it for? You see what I'm saying? I don't like those two words. I try to phrase them out, but Robert and I have some of the greatest chemistry together. Sometimes things just happen. And I want to tell you this, is somebody asked me, I said, dude, if you go to that company and tonight they asked you, well, the right place at the right time. Okay, tonight I want you to come out in a G-string. Well, you asked them what color. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm not really meaning it that way, but it's just an example. Can you do this? Can you come out on TV with a G-string? Well, what color you want me to wear, baby? Shit, I'm here for you. Let's get the break in our business. That's all. It's just an exclamation. All right, go ahead, man.
All right. I know I have one more. I don't know about you, Pete and Lars, but I'll knock this one out. This is actually a fan question from a friend of Pete and I, Russ McCall. He wanted me to ask you, do you remember the day kayfabe died? How did you take it, and how did you react, and how did it change how you went forward in the business?
Well, the first time kayfabe died was a long time ago when the guy out of Atlanta, he smartened everybody up about the blades and all that. But I never. And then when it got really kayfabe really died. Young guys remember Jim Hurd?
Yeah,
that's who I was talking about. When he first came out, he come from a pizza place to run the corporate business of wrestling. And you know what? And really, it wasn't his fault, because I didn't realize then, they was changing wrestling to corporate. They didn't want wrestlers to be in the office. I don't know why. I don't know, because they would have learned a lot from it. But when he come out with a tag team, he told me, he said, man, I got an idea for a tag team. He said, we're going to call them the Ding Dongs from Bellsville. And I just thought to myself, holy fuck, just smarten the whole world up. And hey, if Bobby Eaton was on here, I would I would to rib with him. The day that everybody got smartened up is when they watched Bobby Eaton work. No, but Bobby's my best friend in the world. The greatest worker in the business, but that's just a rib between the boys. And that's when, when our business started turning corporate, that's when kayfabe was lost.
So Ricky, who you've mentioned some of the people that you really enjoy working, like Rick and Jerry and stuff. Who else? Like, who is like your favorite opponents? And then is there anybody that you're looking at now, like in today's wrestling, that you're like, man, I would really like to wrestle him or work him or whatever the case?
Yeah, there's a few of them out there. FTR. Those guys, I like those guys.
Yeah.
They did a thing. I thought maybe they might let us slide in there with them, but I didn't know because they're good heel tag team, and that's as being a babyface, because I think they would give me the opportunity to let me sell to tell that story, to give Robert a hot tag.
Yeah.
And plus they got Tully Blanchard with them that tells 30 years of history. A lot of guys, man, and Petey, like I said, I enjoy, see what makes a good baby face. And a lot of people don't understand this either. And what makes a good worker is that you can wrestle everybody. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That makes you a great worker is somebody that can wrestle with anybody and have a great match. I loved working with everybody. Like you said, I would go out and watch some of the matches, especially if I knew I was coming up. Hey, you could like this right here. I got to tell this story. Remember the Headhunters?
Yeah.
The great big guys. They weighed 500 pounds apiece. And I knew Robert and I were going to work with him. We're in Japan, and I'm watching them. These guys do moonsaults off the top, bam, down. So, and I'm out there, and I'm working with them, and this guy one of them slams me. About 2 weeks later, when we're working, and I look up and I see an ass about 6 feet big going up the top rope. And I'm looking at him, I'm laying there on my back, and he tells me, he slams me, he says, lay still. And then I look and I see that big ass going to the, and I jump up, and I run outside the turnbuckle, and I go, what'd you say? Hey, hey, listen to me. You out of your fucking mind. I don't give a. I can sell a headlock like I'm going to the goddamn electric chair. You ain't coming off that top rope with the moonsault.
You're all that ass.
Yeah. No. That shit ain't happening. I'll be over here getting some sushi.
Yeah.
I'm not bullshitting. That's a great thing. All right, guys.
All right. Well, Ricky, I wish we had like all day.
Me too, man. I can't wait to come and see you perform, dude. I don't know. I hope they open it back. Are you playing any now?
We will. I'm hoping we're out back in August, starting up. But anywhere we're near, please come and be my guest.
Oh no, you know what though? You lived my one dream.
What's that?
And I'm going to tell you this right here. One of my bucket list was to perform in Madison Square Garden. Never got to. And I see that you did before the pandemic. And besides that, you sold the son of a bitch out. It was great. See, and you coming from where you're from and you coming over here to play Madison Square Garden is just one of the biggest places I think that you could ever wrestle. To me, I've wrestled in the Superdome and Washington Stadium and all them places, but you're the legacy of our business, Bruno Sammartino, Madison Square Garden. And I see that you played there, and I'm so good. To me, I guess I lived my dream through you. How's that? Yeah. Thank you for being my friend, dude. Thank you. And I do. I like you guys, man. And I always remember this. I treat people the way you treat me. If you're nice to me, I'm nice back, and if you're an asshole, I treat you back like an asshole. It's just the way it is. All right.
All right. Well, that's one of the things I did want to mention because, when we met at the show in San Francisco, you were so approachable and so humble and nice to me. And because you could probably see that I was that 11-year-old kid meeting you guys.
Well, no, I knew. That's why I took you in the back. I said, come on, go with me, man. Let's go in the back. All right.
Yeah.
And it was cool back there, you watching the boys and doing stuff. But what surprised me? Everybody back there knew you. Damn, that's all. Yes. They was glad for you to come back, man. So
well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
for that,
man.
Well, thank you for that experience because that was like a dream of mine,
I knew it was. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for making me realize that.
All right, guys, are we finished?
No, I got one question. You got to let me.
All right, good. I'm ready for it. I don't know.
So I know, a lot of the times in these types of interviews, you probably get asked who was your greatest opponent and blah, 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 and who would you like to be? Well, so here's my question for you, because you mentioned them. The enhancement guys. Who was your favorite to wrestle? The Rocky King or the Mulkeys?
Oh, you know what? Rocky King, I never got to I don't think I ever worked Rocky.
I think you worked Rocky on
TV.
TV, yeah.
But Rocky was great, and the Mulkeys were great. Now, I like working the Monkeys because you never knew what the hell they were going to do. They were just trying to make it in our business. I mean, you give them a backdrop, they go over the top rope on the concrete. Bam! And then it would scare you because I would let them lay there for a while to see if they start moving. Because I guess if you've seen them guys today, it blow your mind because they can't hardly walk. Yeah. Both of them. Yeah, because their bones are all broke and they don't. But that Rocky King was a great worker. I loved Rocky. Matter of fact, being underneath boys, Jimmy Crockett, we traveled, and I guess he thought the underneath boys shouldn't ride with the main event guys because he would ride with us. You know what I'm saying? So Crockett said something to me about it. So I hired Rocky King to drive me and Robert to the shows. And then Jimmy Crockett seen him with us all the time. He wouldn't be booked. Jimmy Crockett goes, I said, I hired him. He drives me and Robert around. He said, well, hell, if he's going to be here, I might as well let him work. So everywhere me and Robert was at, we paid Rocky for taking us, and Rocky got to wrestle and got paid. So that was cool. He always remind me, and Rocky was thankful. He said, man, I never forget y'all did that. Jimmy Crockett got me more bookings than I ever had in my life. But that was cool, man.
Normally I wrap up the show, but I know how important this is to Dmitri Young to be here, how much of a fan he is. So Dmitri, will you wrap this up for us?
Well, I just wanted to comment on your mentorship with everything that you do at your wrestling school. And one of the comments that you made not too long ago was when you had the students saying that I know, and I'm in that same field now after playing. I'm a coach and I do a lot of stuff with the amateur kids, and they like to say I know, and I say, you know what I know means? I know. When you say I know to a coach, that's basically saying fuck you. Are you saying fuck? Are you saying fuck you to me? And that's what that reminded me of when you were saying all that, and I just had to comment on that.
And I'm glad you said that's exactly what it means. It means fuck you, that I know more than you do, and I'm serious. But I don't go that far with it though. Okay.
Well, I just let the kids know. I said, "Are you saying fuck you?"
That's all you got to say. I hope
they go, "No, coach."
Yes.
And they watch what they say.
That's great, man. Cool. Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna pardon myself off here. Absolutely. Because I want to tell you one thing. To me, it was absolute greatest compliment in the world to be on you guys' show today. Thank you. Falling over here, and I really love it. And each one of you ever remember this, especially when you get older. If the music's too loud, you're too fucking old. Y'all have a good night. All right. See you guys.